find your purpose.
Yes.
And if your purpose is powerful enough, it will make you unstoppable.
Alfonso Cuadra, how are you?
I'm excellent. How are you? Investor Dad.
I'm so glad I finally got you on. We've been talking back and forth for a few months now, and we just couldn't seem to get our schedules to match up, but I'm glad we worked it out.
We finally did it. I said, you know what attracted me? Investor Dad. I mean, no one has come with that approach before. And I was like, I'm an investor, Dad. I need to talk to this guy, Wayne, and see what's going on. So, no, good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, not a problem. And I mean, the whole podcast is obviously about real estate investing, but like you said, I'd like to focus on the life of real estate investors who are also parents. You walk in any real estate investing room or event, and what are the top 3 things that people say that are preventing them from taking action? It's money, education, and time. And time, I don't find that enough people talk about it. And specifically, everybody's got their thing, whether it be being a parent or whether you got a dog. There's always something else that you need to take care of that's preventing you from taking action. So my goal is to shine a light on that, to shine a light on time. And I see too many people, like myself included, who are so driven and they put family and life second. So now you have got a pretty inspirational story. You had a rough start, in the beginning of your life. But it was the birth of your daughter, from what I understand, that made you turn it all around. So do you want to tell that story?
At 17.
At 17, yeah.
And so as you see where I am right now, I'm in my office, right?
Mm-hmm.
My office, I'm sitting here, we're having this podcast right in our meeting room, our conference room. My mom and my 2 daughters are there. My mom is teaching them Spanish, right? Oh, and so I think people, when people have trouble is because they separate, like sometimes they separate work and they separate family. For me, so it's been, my girls have always been a part of my life, and as I'm working and looking at properties, they're always there. It's a family business, is what it is. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, I did go through some dark times. Let's start at the very beginning. I came from Latin America, Central America, where I was in 2 wars. My mom was a political prisoner, and she was eventually was given asylum to come to Canada. Because I moved around so much, I had issues integrating into school here in Canada. I missed a lot of educational opportunities, traveling so much throughout my life, and I was just frustrated. I don't know about you, Wayne, but I never felt that they taught anything valuable to me in schools. When I was in grade 6, I asked a very important question that kind of has shaped the rest of my life, and I said, because I had no financial education at home, and so I said to my teacher, I said, "What's a mortgage?" Because I hear this word mortgage, and so I said, "What's a mortgage?" And the teacher said, "A mortgage is something you get when you're older."
What a terrific answer.
Right? And so I said, "Oh, whoa! I think I'm on my own here, right?" And so I got so frustrated because I was very entrepreneurial. And everything was gearing me towards like higher education. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I just knew that wasn't my place. And at 15 years old, I ended up dropping out of high school, conflict at home, was very angry, and I also left home. So that's how I became homeless, sleeping on park benches, panhandling for change, a lot of dark moments. Now, we've all had these dark moments. You've had a dark moment. There's people that have suffered, worse things than I have. But everybody has a dark moment. Everybody has a point in their life when they're like, why me? Right. And so for me, it's not so much about what happens to you, is what you do about what happens to you. Mm-hmm. I had a life-changing moment at 17. And my darkest moment, my girlfriend at the time says, you're going to be a father, right? I have the picture right here, actually. I'll show you this little girl. I was 17 years old. Her name is Talia. She's in the other room. She's turning 25. She changed my, and you see how young I am.
You were a baby.
So what I tell people is, we're not promoting for kids to have kids. But what we're saying is, like, find your purpose.
Yes.
And if your purpose is powerful enough, it will make you unstoppable. And so at that point, I wanted to make this little girl proud of me. That became my purpose at that time. Mm-hmm. And I went back to school, right? And got a job. They weren't giving out executive wages in those days. $5 an hour. Yeah. Hardly enough to feed a family. And so I started a side business, and it was selling jeans and T-shirts and mixtapes from my locker in high school. Nice. When I graduated school, and it was very important. It was very important for me to graduate, because I never wanted for my daughter to say, "Well, Dad, I won't have to go to school because you didn't do it," or whatever, So that was the reason I went back to school, and I graduated at 19 years old. And I had a vision. I said I wanted to have a physical location. I managed to raise $2,700 thanks to friends. It was my first joint venture opportunity that I offered my friends at that time. And I took the $2,700 and I turned it into a company grossing in the millions with locations all across Canada. And I fell in love with being an entrepreneur. Now, I don't know how much you want to know about the next part of the real estate, but I'll
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to know, obviously you created a very successful retail business, clothing. And then what made you transition into real estate?
So I'll ask you, Wayne. Yes. Do you remember being 21 years old?
Yes. I remember. It was that was my breakthrough year.
Yeah. So let's say you're 21 years old and all of a sudden people give you all this, you discovered a way to make all this money. What would you do at 21 years old, Wayne?
I'll make bad decisions.
Exactly. That's what I did, cars, jewelry, all that stuff. Yeah. Things that I thought from growing up poor that you needed to be successful. All that flashy stuff is the automatic. It's where you go first, right? Mm-hmm. I was very much a consumer. Without a doubt, at 21 years old, all my money was going into material things. Mm. And then, as a result, my business really suffered. And I ended up being almost $1 million in debt, almost having to go through bankruptcy. I did climb out of it, learned a few things. I discovered, I found a mentor, and he gave me some really key advice and books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich started to expand, and I started to shift my mindset into an investor. Right. And so I thought to myself, business is very vulnerable. Like, if you're in business or you have a job, all these things are called earned income. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is you're vulnerable to the market, the economy. If someone farts at the other side of the world, it affects everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, Wayne, we live in a time where one human being can send out a tweet and everything just falls apart. You know what I mean? And if like that needle in the market, yeah, it can be affected by one person tweeting, one human being.
That could ruin your life. Yeah.
Exactly. So I said, I need to find another business that is indestructible, right? Solid, like recession proof. And so doing all the research and reading, what I discovered that all the wealthiest people in the world own real estate. Yeah. And in particular, they own cash flowing real estate. And so that's why I entered the multifamily marketplace. And what I discovered is, now it's been 21 years. And so what I discovered is this, like the multifamily is really recession proof. It's solid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. No matter what happens in the economy, people still have to live somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I transitioned into the real estate, and I never looked back. Now I own businesses, but they're all more symbiotic to the real estate, and I just love I love being in business, but I know that I'm never subject to what happens in the marketplace or whatever, because the core of my business is the multifamily realm.
That's 100% why I got into real estate too, because I was, I got that ticket. I got that big pay raise when I got my certification through my career. And I said, I am not blowing this money. Like, I gotta, what I mean? I've been living on this budget for so long. I'm going to make sure that this is going somewhere smart. And I start reaching out to people within my circle at work and that kind of stuff. And they're all talking about stocks, mutual funds, and, hemp and, marijuana, that kind of stuff.
All those, they're really great investments, but if you have a lot of knowledge, into the stock market, you're going to be able to make a go out of it. And for example, Warren Buffett, he invests he has a big part of his portfolio is in the market, right? But another part of his portfolio is in real estate, which most people don't really realize. And so I think it's the combination of business and real estate what gives the wealthy people an unfair advantage over everybody else, right? And so what most people when people play the stock market, when you hear the stock market and all these things, people want the juicy, like, insider information. And for the most part, I would say 96% of the people out there that enter any type of investing, they're looking at it from a very short-term perspective. Like, they want to make quick money, quick flips. Fast cash, right? And so, like, there was a interview with Jeff Bezos, one of the wealthiest people in our lifetime. He was talking about the day he met Warren Buffett, and if you know Warren Buffett's philosophy on investing, is very simple, right?
2 rules.
What's that?
There's 2 rules.
Don't lose money.
Yeah. And don't forget rule number 1.
Yeah, exactly. And so part of it is, he invests in things he understands. He buys it cheap, and he holds on forever. Yeah. And so the philosophy is so simple. So Jeff was, they were having this conversation, and he's like, Warren, I don't understand how people just don't copy what you do, right? Why doesn't everybody copy what you do, and then everybody could have the same? And so Warren said, well, no one's interested in getting wealthy in the long run. Everybody wants to get rich quick. So when you go to your immediate circle of people, like you were saying, and people talk about stocks and this, it's not because they know something about stocks. They're looking for the quick play. Like, I buy it at X and it's getting, the appreciation play, right? And so in investing, for me, it's the long-term play. It's the wealthy in the long term that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the generational wealth. I'm looking for ways to pass down the portfolio to my family.
Legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. My kids, I bring my kids all the time to my properties, and I said, girls, this is not for you. These are for your kids and your grandkids and your kids' kids. We never sell, right? And so no matter what happens to me, there's a clear plan, a succession plan of what is going to happen to the portfolio, but it's not to be liquidated.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
And
so
sorry, go ahead.
No, that I was just going back on, that generational wealth, the real estate investor dad, which is like, when I see that, that's what it means to me. It's generational wealth, right?
100%. And I like the fact that you bring your daughters along with you and to see the houses and that. My daughter's only 4, so she doesn't quite get it yet. Consumerism and how money works, but she gets a firsthand experience. She gets to see it from, an early age as she grows up, and she decides she wants to stay in it. Fantastic. But I like the idea of no liquidating, because if she doesn't, I'd like to hope that she does understand it, but if she doesn't, you know what I mean? That's going to make sure that portfolio lasts, to her kids and to their kids. And I got to ask, you being a dad, a successful investor, very busy, you're speaking and teaching. What kind of routines do you have in place? Like what kind of tips do you recommend for real estate investor dads or moms?
Yeah, so we live in an age with like iPads and iPhones. There's a lot of distractions, right? And so for the most part, and it's not it's just the world we live in, right?
Yeah.
It's not like there's no judgment whatsoever, but for the most part, I see a lot of parents passing off their the quality time, the time to gadgets and things. Like I see kids at the dinner table with their iPad, right? And like just put it there, and then they'll they won't bother us while we have dinner, or they haven't had dinner.
Yeah.
So I'm opposite, right? Of course I'm busy, but wherever I am in the world, like sometimes I'm on a flight twice a week, but I make sure I'm back in my hometown. This is why people say, "Why chose Ottawa?" Well, my kids are here, right? And I give them stability, and for them, it's to me it doesn't matter. I can fly anywhere. I can go anywhere in the world. We live in a world where you can be somewhere within 20 hours, 15 hours. You can be across the world.
Yeah.
And so, my kids, at least for 2 days a week, when we're together, there is no iPad, there is no phone, there's no phone at the dinner table. There's no, you know what I mean? It just, let's focus on the present and where we are. Also for me, if I'm sitting there on my phone, what kind of example am I showing to them? And if I can't even get off the phone for an afternoon or an evening or a day or 2 days, then you don't really have freedom, right? Freedom is when you have control over your time. I love to work, right? Sometimes I'm in the office till midnight because that's on my terms. But when it comes to my family, I give them my undivided attention. No distractions. Maybe if we watch a movie, but we're watching a movie together, and it's about those moments. And I think people, even they spend a lot of time, all the time. They go home every night, but if their kids are distracted and you're distracted on your phone and everybody's on Facebook and Instagram, which are all important things, but there's a time. And
Yes.
So I'm very much calculated in how we spend the time. Both of my daughters have different mothers. So for me, it was I've been working, and they're 10 years apart, and so I've been working very hard on trying to create the moment so they can build a bond. So we take trips together. I show them the world. We took the family to Disney World, and all these things. Like you have to create those moments. They're not going to just happen, right?
Right.
And it needs to be you need to be very specific and intentional about it, right? It's like, okay, now we're gonna have dinner, so everybody put away their gadgets or whatever. And it's hard. I mean, I have I can't tell my daughter's turning 25. It's like I can't tell her what to do, but
Right.
I try my but yeah, I think in essence it's about creating the time and being very intentional in how you use that time.
And I was honest with myself about a year ago, because I was finding myself exactly the same as you. Let's turn off the TV, let's turn off the phones and everything else. But I almost felt like I was itching. You know what I mean? Like I'm wondering what's going on with that email. And I had a moment where I realized that I need to be more grateful. I need to practice more gratitude. And
Yeah.
I'm so caught up in being driven that I'm not being as grateful as I should, that I have this beautiful family right here who loves you and supports you. So, I try and share that with all other real estate investor parents, who are kind of struggling with the same thing. Is you got to really take a second to really realize how grateful you are and practice gratitude. That you've got this amazing life. And if this real estate and all this business wasn't here, you still got an amazing life. And you got to remember why you're doing it, right? It's for them.
And for me, now I'm very much in control of my time.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the experiences that I have are because I want to have those experiences. And yes, like my family, I try to bring them along as much as possible, right? And like my daughters both. I have a youth foundation. It's called the Cuadra Youth Foundation, and it's about empowerment of youth. But I'll do like 1-day sessions on financial literacy and business and sales skills, and I'll bring them along, right? I want them to see and experience in like different types of experiences versus just like, we play hockey or whatever, so this is kind of like what I'm leaving behind.
I absolutely love that. And that was actually something I was going to ask about was the Youth Foundation. And where did that all come from? How did that all sprout?
Well, as I was telling you before, I asked a very important question when I was in grade 6.
Yep.
Around finances. And so after I got into the business world and started to learn about the business world, I was like, then I became a teacher. I realized that there is no such education in the school system. For the most part, nobody teaching is financially free or wealthy, right? So how can they teach financial freedom or financial literacy when they don't have it for themselves? And so, I went to, I started with going to the schools, just giving information and for the most part, the schools love it. It's inspirational. Kids are happy, but I don't want to just, make kids. I don't want to get them excited and just motivate them, and then I leave and nothing happens. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I remember, and the reason the kids resonate with me is because I'm coming with an authentic story, something that a lot of inner city kids they can connect with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to the board and I said, listen, I have a program. Again, I'm going to need 1 day. Give me 1 day with the kids, and and I'm going to go through financial literacy, in consumer versus investor, starting a business, running a business, leadership, sales. Imagine, Wayne, someone would have taught you sales when you were 14 years old, right?
I would have really appreciated that.
Exactly. Then we end up with public speaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they said to me, Alfonso, we love this program, but I think our kids are not ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
We would just like it for you to talk to our at-risk youth,
Mm-hmm.
right? It would just, because it's like, you can connect with them, and we just want you to talk to the at-risk youth. And I said, well, first of all, who do you consider to be at risk? And she's like, well, you know how it is, new Canadians, or kids that are in the inner city, or kids that are having behavioral problems. I said, you're wrong. All youth right now are at risk. Whether
Mm-hmm.
you're living in whether your parents are making $500,000 a year or they're below the poverty line, it doesn't matter. All youth today are at risk because we're not giving them the skills that they need to develop in order to be successful in the future. Algebra and all these things are important, and they're very specific, and there's a place for them. But we're coming in, we're leaving the industrial age into the information age, and they have no skills. They have no social skills. They have no sales skills. They have no financial literacy. And so these are the things that are important that are going to impact someone's life.
Yeah.
And so I said, you're wrong. You guys are wrong. And so in life, when you get rejected or you see something, there's an issue, you can do two things, Wayne. One, do nothing and continue complaining, or two, put your money where your mouth is and actually do something. And so that's what I've done. It's Cuadra Youth Foundation. We not only do we support programs and other programs across the country. We started very local here in Ottawa, but we run a 1-day workshop. We call it the Ultimate Teen Entrepreneur, and we run 30 to 40 kids, and we do this across the country. If you have 30 to 40 kids, I will fly out there with my own money, put together in a bar room, in a hotel, with linen, water, and there's no cost to any kids, nothing whatsoever. They just need to show up with an open mind. That's it. That's the requirement.
That's amazing.
And so we've been doing these events, and by the end of it, unlike what the board was saying that, no, these kids are not going to get it. It's too much information. Maybe you should dumb down the information for these kids. I don't believe in dumbing down the information, because you're doing what everybody else is doing and has done. They've dumbed it down, so it's not even relevant information anymore. And so I give them the exact same information that I would teach to adults. It's just simplified. That's all it is. And by the end of it, they're talking about being an investor. They know what a consumer is. They know how to, they know return on investment. They know, about real estate. They know about starting a business. They know about public speaking. They know about sales. And so the results that we're getting are amazing. And so that will be my legacy in life, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much about, I don't want someone to Google me and look at all the real estate that I've owned.
Yeah.
I want people to Google my name, like when I'm gone, and see all the people that I've helped, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I have the most impact with the youth.
And you know what? A lot of people are thinking that youth are getting lazier with technology and in the internet and all the devices. But I'm actually finding that entrepreneurism is actually getting a little more cool, a little more mainstream. Maybe it's Gary Vaynerchuk.
Which is also a problem, because people think they can just put entrepreneur in their bio, and then all of a sudden they're entrepreneurs.
True.
Right. So there's no education behind it.
Yeah.
Which that's cool. Like Gary V has his own shoe. We never saw that growing up, right?
Yeah.
There was no entrepreneur had their own shoe line, right? And so it's good and it's bad, because now we're showing people, look at what you can do, but we're not going to give you any education on it, right?
Right.
And so then they're stuck, they're confused, and they go out and try to do something, and then there's obviously confidence issues, because they don't have the skill sets to make it work.
You know what I like though? I like them making the mistakes before they're 22. Rather than waiting until they're 35 and they've got kids and they're wondering, what am I doing with my life? And then you know what I mean? I like taking risks early, because you can always bounce back, right? And you know what? I'm seeing so many different cool young kids doing things. I think Kijiji put a promo out. I think you shared it a little while back, where there was like a 14-year-old who was selling stuff on Kijiji, and he took his profits and bought a property. Yeah, that's so cool. That is hustle. And there's another. Go ahead,
I share a lot of those stories in that workshop, so the young people can see people like themselves doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's very much a family business right now. I mean, my youngest, 13 years old, checks people at the front, gives them the name tag, is registering people at the front.
That's
and
awesome.
My oldest will introduce me. We'll get her to, we're moving towards getting her to teach a module as well. And so this is my style of teaching, just by doing, right? Like, okay, let's go out and do it. Like my daughter was, my oldest, when she was like 4 or 5 years old, she would be in the stores with me. She would, go look at properties with me, and, it's part of their world. They don't know any different. They think that that's the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think is more important? Do you think it's more important to be educated or to take action?
Both. You need there's such a thing as information gluttons, right?
Yeah.
Where
that's a new one I haven't heard. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just they need to get all of the information. I met a guy at one workshop that I was doing. He said, "Man, Alfonso, I read 700 books." He was so excited and proud. He's like, "I read Think and Grow Rich and all the success principles," and he went through 700 books. And I said, "Well, what have you done?" "Well, I haven't done nothing yet, because there's just one last book I need to read." I'm like, "Yeah." So then you're going backwards, right? You're using that as a crutch. The point of knowledge is you need to apply it, right? Knowledge without application, it's zero. It's still zero, right? The return on investment on deals that you don't do will always be zero.
Yeah.
Anything you do, if you don't take action, will always be zero. But getting yourself some knowledge and then applying it and coming back and it's always going to be like a lifetime of learning, but you need to apply, or else you're wasting your time.
It's a very tough equation to find that perfect, what's enough information that I can take action and not take action too early. And obviously I think mentorship is a huge important factor as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. Why
absolutely.
reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, why reinvent the wheel? And the mentorship, it's like you're tapping into someone else's experience.
Mm-hmm.
They've been there before. You know, like, so there, I think as you're doing, you should be getting knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every day, how do you spend your day, right? You have 24 hours in a day. I think at least an hour a day should be invested into
podcasts,
books, whatever it is, back into something that's going to serve your business.
100%.
Right? And so that way, it's not like you need to consume it all in one. It's not like binge. People binge watch or binge read, books, and they get so into it, but they're doing nothing. Right? You're better off reading a paragraph of a book and taking action based on that paragraph, and then someone reading a whole book and doing nothing. Right?
So you've been mentoring, you've been speaking, you've been teaching. How did that all come into play? You were an entrepreneur, you had your business, you got into real estate. When did teaching and speaking come in?
Yeah, so I've always, I started business very young, right? And so I remember first it started with my immediate circle, the people that were around me. Even when I was, on the streets, up to no good, I was always the person in my circle that was like, okay, let's buy a Taco Bell, or let's, all these ideas, right?
Yeah.
And people would say, you're crazy, like, what are you talking about? And so I was always trying to push everybody forward. And I guess it came from those, when I was a teenager. And then it started in my stores. So I remember training my staff on sales. I also remember customers would come in and they start asking questions. Obviously, I was very young to be owning a business, and so they asked questions, and I was very open and transparent with everything I did. And I said, you should do it. And, and I've helped a lot of people in that way. 2008, I was featured in Reader's Digest, which went across the world, 15 different countries, translated in 5 different languages. It was a 7-page profile on my life. Actually, I have it right here. Give me a second.
Sure.
Okay, I'll show it to you. So this is one here. If you see, this is in Chinese. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, and so it went all over. I mean, as a result of that one article, 2008, 2007, 2008, it was featured in the news a lot because I'd grown this company, and people wanted to know. And what I discovered, and I got letters from everywhere in the world. I mean, it was like incredible. Like people from Hong Kong, people in Latin America, people send me letters and emails, and they said, listen, your story changed my life, right? And so because we talked a lot about purpose, and my purpose started to shift at that moment. In what I wanted out of life started to shift as well, because I was like, whoa, my story can help millions of people, right? And so I started thinking, you know what? It's not so much about what I want to do with my life or what I want in life. My perspective started to shift to how I was going to use my life in order to be an inspiration to other people and to help them achieve, anything that they want, right? And because I know I've been from the very dark to where I am today. And so that's when it started, like 2007, 2008. I started to do training and showing people, and what I discovered is, and I don't even know where it came from. I had a very simple way of teaching where people, at the end of it, they got it, and they took action, right? And so this is where I knew I was in the right place, because the people were getting the results. They're like, this is incredible. You know, I took one workshop with you and I actually did something, versus other workshops that I've taken where it was great knowledge and information, but it left me wondering, like, what do I do? And so everything I do is very action oriented. And I want to, and the difference is the motivation versus the inspiration. Motivation is very short term, and you'll get excited at the moment, but it's not long term, right? And so inspiration is forever. If I can inspire you to take action, you're going to go off and create the life that you want, right? Because you took action on that.
That's a gift, man. You got a gift, you got to share it. It's because you're absolutely right. Going to some events, you get motivated a little bit, but you don't take action. And you know what? That's Stephen Covey's secret 8th habit of effective people is giving back, right? It's giving back.
Absolutely. I every time I'm in front of an audience, and I've done like workshops and, in front of like thousands and thousands and thousands of people. It's all about who's in front of me right now, and how can I help these people move forward. And when I started, I don't know if you can tell, I have an accent, right? I have an accent. I didn't go to university, and I had a lot of confidence issues, because I was thinking, like, you know what? Like, who would listen to me, right? Who would listen to me? This immigrant guy comes along, starts a business, and maybe if people are going to figure out I'm not educated, like, I don't have an MBA. And so what I discovered was that that's very self-centered. That's all about me. Like, what I feel, how I think people are going to perceive me. And truly, when you turn it around and you make it about your people, your audience, your mentees, the people that you're trying to give something to, and if your mind and your intention is really to serve them and be in a position of service, your ums and ahs and all that stuff, the accent or the way you put together your sentences, nobody cares. What value are you bringing them is the question. And so anytime I stand up when I'm on stage, I'm always thinking to myself, okay, I'm serving these people. It's not about me. It's about them. And everything changed from there.
I might be putting you on the spot, but obviously you've got that gift. You've got that secret to getting people to take action. If you could give one tip to the listeners, you know what I mean? That one-liner or one sentence or even 3 minutes, what tip would you give to someone who wants to get started in real estate investing, but they just haven't yet?
Okay. So here it is. Because we're talking about real estate investing.
I'm not giving you a whole weekend or a whole day. I know you need momentum, but
I'm going to give you one great tip that, it's going to be powerful for your audience right now. I'll tell you this right now. I had a mentor of mine. He said, Alfonso, do you know where the most valuable piece of real estate is? And I said, where? He's like, the stage. From the stage, people have started wars. From the stage, people have ended wars. From the stage, people have done incredible things. So find a way to get in front of a group of people and convey your message, right? And I'll tell you something. From the stage, you have ultimate power and you have ultimate authority. And so as a real estate investor, you need to find your way to the stage to teach something, give some value. Number one, you're in a position of authority. Number two, you're going to be attracting people to you. We talked about it. Like this is your stage right here. You're attracting people to you. And so and anybody, you can start being an investor. You're going to get so far until there's going to come a point where you actually have to, command authority in a room, right? And from this, the person that's on stage will always get the business.
That's so true. And let's talk about today's stage, because I think that, the stage at an event is still important, right?
Yes.
But today's modern stage is social media, right? It's a crowded stage, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you can definitely still stand out. So you know, you're a monster on social media, and that's ultimately how I found you and through networking with other people, and they were talking about you. So what is the importance of social media to you, and what kind of tips can you give for people who want to take advantage of that?
So the first question people ask me, should I use LinkedIn? Should I use Instagram? Should I use Facebook? We hear that Facebook is, nobody's on Facebook. I'd say use all of it. Be on every platform. Your customers are everywhere, and they need to be reminded of you all the time. That's why I jumped on TikTok, right? I was one of the first, real estate people on TikTok. I've built a following. People love it. And I'm on Snapchat, LinkedIn. I'm everywhere. Now, I'll say try to outsource as much as possible, so you're not like completely stuck to your phone, but also show up in places where you can be you, right? So that's number one. Use all of it. If you're wondering about LinkedIn or Facebook versus Instagram, use all of it. The second thing is be consistent. Be consistent with the message. Be consistent in when you show up and how you show up. That's very important. I see people, they put so much effort for like two months, and they might not get immediate results right away, and then you see them kind of fall off, right? Since 2007, I've been consistent on social media. I just show up and I give value, and I leave politics, I leave religion, I leave all that stuff aside. Ranting about whether I got a flat tire or not or whatever. Those are not, the social media is not the place to rant about what you did last week and the dinner, the meal that you had at a particular restaurant wasn't good. That's not the place. You want to attract people that are like-minded and positive. So this is what you need to project to the world, and it needs to be consistent. And people need to be able to look back to 2008 and see the same message that you're giving now. And this way people trust you. They're going to be with you. And no matter what business you're in, they're always going to be a follower. And so those are the things that I would say in social media. Just be consistent and be everywhere. Be on every platform. And if you need to hire someone to help you, that's what I've done. I have a full-time person. Pushing things on social media.
It is a lot of work, but I feel like even if you just want to do it yourself, just put some systems in place. There's schedulers for normal, inspirational quotes and that kind of stuff. But it's really as easy. It's just throwing the camera on. You're out looking at apartment buildings. Just throw the camera on. You're doing stuff anyways. Why not share it?
And people love it.
And you know what? I'm not saying you are older than I am. So I'd say you're probably one generation older than I am. But you're so active, even on TikTok. And I got to ask you, because today's February 2nd. Yesterday was Rent Day, right? Where did the Rent Day dance come from?
So one day I did it. I was like, it's the first. And so we have our rents coming in, and it's just like a fun kind of day for me, right?
Yeah.
And so TikTok gives you this you can do this music. TikTok is so fun because it's like so fast and quick. And so I did hashtag Alfonso's Rent Day dance, and then and people loved it. There was a lot of traction, and then people started doing it. Everybody started to do a Rent Day dance, right? So
it's trending, man. It's trending.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing yours.
I gotta do one. I looked yesterday, and I'm seeing all these people doing new ones, and you did a new one. I'm like, I gotta get on this. I gotta get on this.
It's just fun, and you only if you're an investor you get it.
Yes.
Right. Because traditionally on the first for investors, that's your payday.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so you need to celebrate those things and make it fun. This was another thing I like about TikTok. TikTok, for the first time in social media, you're able to people's true self are coming out, right? For example, Instagram, it's like, look at what I'm doing, pictures, and it's kind of like you're putting on a facade, right? TikTok, the very essence of how you show up on TikTok needs to be silly and playful, and so people can be themselves, I think, and it's great, you know, when people can see that, you know what, I am an investor, I do have businesses, I do run companies, but you know what, I'm playful too, you know, I'm just as silly as everybody else. You said it, I'm older than you, I don't know, you know, I'm 43, so I don't know how old, but you know what, I'm just as playful as, you know, someone that is young or whatever on that platform.
You got to be vulnerable. I think that's the difficult part. And that's why that facade comes up. And you know what? My coach actually called me out on it recently and said that you're not being authentic enough in public. I'm like, I'm being myself. And he's like, nah, but I could see it in social media. You're kind of putting a guard up a little bit and you're doing it for the sake of doing it. But you know, the reason why I'm not doing a TikTok rent dance is because I'm not ready to get up and dance. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you gotta be like and I'll tell you, TikTok is going to take over everything. And the reason is because it's kind of real. It's kind of real and raw. And not everybody can master, like people are now, because of the Instagram world, everybody's worried about a facade. And so the people that can master being authentic and real and still give value will get all that traction on TikTok.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I need to do better. 100%. And you know what? Maybe this is it. Maybe I'm going to say it out loud and on the podcast that I will do a rent day dance next month. I'm gonna do
I love it.
I put it out there. Now I have to.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you for inspiring me.
Oh, you know what? I love that. That's amazing, Wayne. You know, everybody should be doing a rent day dance.
Yes.
Some people comment, they're like, "Oh, I can't wait to do a rent day dance." Well, you know what? Do it anyways, and it'll happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's a national holiday.
Yes.
Right.
Real estate investing can be fun, and I get it. We have lots of dark days during the month where, you know, there's stuff we're dealing with in real estate investing, but it can be fun, and we got to remember why we're doing it. And
Absolutely.
you've already told me what your why was. Now, what are your long-term goals for real estate investing?
So my long-term, right now, I have an immediate 5-year plan of getting to 7,500 doors.
Sorry, you just make it sound easy.
Well, you know what? A good goal is how do you determine a good goal? Well, it needs to excite you, and it needs to scare you a little bit.
Yes.
Right. People say, why 7,500? That's so like specific. Well, you know what? It needs to be specific enough so it becomes real, but it also is going to allow me to grow. Right. And so the problem is that people's goals are too small. They're only setting goals based on what they feel is their potential. Right. And so that's not a good goal. Right. Like if you feel you can achieve it and, you know, like you're like, okay, well, like I set a goal because I don't want to set it so high. Then if I don't get there, I'm going to feel like a failure. That's not the point. The goal is supposed to allow you to stretch, right, and become more of yourself. And so I realized, then I sat down, okay, based on my goal, what are the things that I need to do? These are the things that I need to do right now. Yeah. And so then we can aim towards that, right? Because once I get there, my next goal would be 75,000. And even at 75,000, it's not like you're a big player, like you're like a major player in the world, right? But more importantly, not the units and not the money, but I want to see what kind of person I'm going to become at that level, right? So those are my goals. And on the other side, like social contribution, I would love to see my foundation, the workshops being taught in every city across North America. And even more powerful for me would be to go into developing countries like Latin America or Africa or any developing country. And the reason is I started to think a long time ago, you know, I said, what can I do? What can I do? What can I give back? Where can I give back? And you know, people are bringing food, money, a lot of different things to developing countries, but no one brings the mindset, right?
Right.
I want to bring the know-how. I want to bring the entrepreneurial spirit. I want to bring the investor mindset. That's what I want to be known for bringing that to all of these countries. So that's my ultimate goal with the foundation.
I love it. I love it. And I appreciate you sharing your why, because I think determining your why is pretty difficult. It's very difficult, actually. I struggle with it. I kind of have an idea, but I can't see that far like you can. And you have to really be honest with yourself. And so what advice would you give to like a new or even a seasoned entrepreneur or investor who's struggling to find their why or their compass?
Well, it's about the layers. Okay. If you say to yourself, why do I want to do this? The first thing you're going to say, it's going to be very superficial. It's going to be the words that are going to come out of your mouth are going to be the ones that you think everybody should hear. Right. But then you have to dig deeper. Right. So, a lot of my students, when I'm mentoring, I'll say, well, why do you want this? And people say, well, and everything is going to be very superficial because I want to help humanity or whatever. Right. Which is a great goal. And it's great, but why? And then they're like, well, because nobody's done it before, but why? Right. And so you got to dig deep. And sometimes you got to go 7 to 10 layers deep and keep asking yourself, do the workshop with yourself, sit down and write it. People like, why do I want this? And then the first thing you're going to say will be superficial. I want this because I want to, save the birds. Okay. Why? Well, because, I feel that, and when you start digging deep, it's going to come back to something that impacted you. Why do I believe in this in my foundation? Well, when I was 15, no one gave me any guidance whatsoever. And I remember what that felt like. And if I can change one life, if I can change one mindset, then I've done my job, right? But it came, that inspiration, that why came from no one like feeling alone when I was a kid, right? And so the why it's you have to do that work. And so to find your purpose, you got to dig deep. You got to go a few layers, because everything at the very beginning will be very superficial. And this is where people like, it's like, oh, I'm struggling with it. Well, you haven't done the work. You have to go deep.
I think that's a great spot to leave it on, because honestly, I think that's the most important part for taking action, is to have your why figured out. And it's going to keep you going every day. Alfonso, I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you so much for coming on, telling your story and offering up all this advice and wisdom. I'm extremely grateful. And if any of the listeners want to reach out to you, what's the best way they can find you?
Listen, if you can't find me, I haven't done my job.
I had to ask, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not hard to find you.
Go on Google. I mean, very Googleable. I'm the first 63 pages of Google. Alfonso Cuadra. You can find me on any platform. I'm there. And if you can't find me, please let me know, because I got that means I got to do a better job.
I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. I think we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah. Thank you by the way for doing this. I love the platform. I love the branding. I love the cup. You got the Investor Dad cup and all of these things, and it's great. And it's keep doing what you're doing, and I know that you're headed towards greatness as well.
Thank you so much, Alfonso. Okay, we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. We want to know, what do you want to see on the next video? Comment down below, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified the next time we're doing a video, like, dislike, we don't care!